No one's afraid of a kicker. So went a piece of player banter in an early version of Madden Football, as I recall. No one's afraid of a kicker. Well, you might want to be. Justin Tucker hits the magic number 66 yard field goal. Of course, we Apple folks love the 66. We live for the 66. 66 equals 1. 66 equals K. 66 equals touchdown. Well, not always, but that's the little credo we cooked up to run on the marquee for our football tournament 8 years ago at the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, which is most certainly where Justin Tucker is going to end up. Now, it doesn't matter what game you play. When you see a milestone like that on the field, you instantly wonder how it's going to be rendered in your favorite game, on a player card, on a team chart. We just talked to Ron Pizar, who runs Data-Driven Football, keeping the pay dirt tradition alive. Says he gets emails all the time from folks after big plays, wondering how the team charts will look. Madden, speaking of that game, has already given Justin Tucker a perfect rating, at least for now, for that 66-yarder against the Lions. On my Facebook page, a day or two after the kick, I wondered, did you ever think you'd be, or have you ever been, so excited to buy an APBA football season because of a kicker? Justin Tucker's kick immediately called to mind the asterisk kickers from a very brief window of APBA history, the 1972 to 1981 seasons to be exact. By our count, there were only 4 kickers who received the asterisk, and this provides a perfect opportunity, well, there's always a great opportunity, to go back and dig deeply into the many twists and turns of APBA football history. Now, the day after I posted my question, Brian Crane wondered on Facebook how many ones Justin Tucker might get in his K column. Ron Taylor astutely pointed out that it's not the 1, but it's the sneaky little 37 that was added with the 2006 season set that's going to let Justin Tucker replicate his on-field feat, a 66-yard field goal, which maxes out APBA's current field goal range. So let's go back to the beginning a bit. And while we're talking, see if you can remember the first APBA kicker to get an asterisk, if you go back that far with the game. So APBA football came out in 1958 as the 1959 edition, representing the 1957 season. Now, we own an original 57 game. We also own a game with the 1964 cards. On those boards, the maximum field goal range is 31 to 45 yards. Of course, the goalposts are at the front of the end zone. And in APBA football, you measure a field goal distance from the line of scrimmage to the front of the end zone, regardless of the spot of the snap or whether the goalposts are at the front or back of the end zone. A quick point about the spot of kick for a field goal. APBA's rules have always instructed that you add 7 yards to any successful field goal to account for the spot of the kick. But in viewing the video of Tom Dempsey's historic 63-yarder in 1970 and Justin Tucker's 66-yarder, the spot of the ball seems to be 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage. Tom Dempsey was kicking from his own 45, and with the goalpost at the front of the end zone, that indicates an 8-yard spot of the kick. Justin Tucker and the Ravens were facing a 3rd and 10 at Detroit's 48-yard line, with the goalpost at the back of the end zone at 8, and there's your 66 yards. Just an anomaly to note between the seeming actual spot of the kick and APBA's instruction to use a 7-yard spot of the kick. So with those early boards, a maximum field goal would be 52 yards using a 7-yard behind the line of scrimmage spot of kick. For the 1965 season till the very early 70s, APBA revised the boards and expanded the maximum field goal range by 4 yards. 31 yards to 49 yards was now the maximum field goal range. And it's in 1970 that, of course, Mr. Tom Dempsey hits his 63-yard strike against the Lions. And now talk about the symmetry of sports. Tom Dempsey and the New Orleans Saints beat the Detroit Lions 19-17 on his 63-yard field goal. And now, Justin Tucker, with his 66-yard record, propels his Ravens over the same Detroit Lions 19-17. It's fascinating stuff. In any case, Tom Dempsey is not the first kicker to get an asterisk in APBA football. Here's the thing. APBA did not revise its boards a second time until 1972 by the best of our sleuthing. The interesting thing about APBA football is that in the early days of the big white boards with results on them, those boards do not have copyright dates or season dates. So you really have to look at the player cards and the old APBA journals, the old promotional brochures to get a real sense of where APBA was going and what it was doing in a given year. So in 1972, APBA releases a World Champion Football set with some new features. Of course, 1972, important year, the 72 Dolphins go undefeated. Whether APBA revised the game before or after that, well, it couldn't have been before that because the World Champion promotional brochure is copyrighted in 1972. That set featured 10 teams replicating the 1953, 1959, 1960, 1963, and 1965 NFL championship games. And it was also, it looks like, kind of a soft launch for the slew of features that appear starting with the 72 season set. But Tom Dempsey does not get the asterisk. And with a maximum field goal range at the time of 49 yards, plus 7 for the spot of the kick, with the goalpost at the front of the end zone, the most he can hit is a 56-yarder. But he does get 3 ones at 11:33:66. So now, with the revised boards emerging in 1972, APBA expands the field goal range again to 50 to 56 yards. And the caveat is the only kicker who can attempt that range has an asterisk. Don Cockroft of the 1972 Cleveland Browns is the first kicker to receive the coveted APBA asterisk. And a little side note here, the APBA asterisk originated with the receiver card of Don Hutson and the 41 Packers, a great team of the past. So untouchable was Don Hutson, so talented that APBA conferred upon him the asterisk, meaning that the secondary could not reduce his offensive index boost. Since then, many receivers who catch 100 or more balls a year receive that same asterisk. But going back to the field goal range in APBA, with the expanded field goal range of 50-56 yards plus 7-yard spot of the kick, you can now achieve the 63-yard mark. But Tom Dempsey does not get the asterisk. Don Cockroft does. Now, of course, 2 years after those new charts emerge, the NFL changes the kicking rules, moves the kickoff back to the 35-yard line, and moves the goalposts to the back of the end zone. Rather than reprint all its boards, APBA simply issues an instructional sheet that tells you how to read the boards to get the proper field goal range. Now, after Don Cockroft makes his 57-yard kick, we have a number of kicks in the low to mid-50s, but none of them get asterisks. Not Bruce Gossett of the 49ers, who kicks a 54-yarder in 73. Not Chester Markle or Bill McClard, who get 52-yarders in 74. Not Bob Thomas of the Bears, who kicks a 55-yarder in 75. Not Skip Butler of the Oilers, who kicks a 54-yarder in 76. Nor Mark Mosley, who also kicks a 54-yarder in the 77 season. 1978, we see a pair of 52-yarders by Mark Mosley of the Redskins and Chris Barr of the Bengals. No asterisks. It's not until the 1979 season, 7 years after Don Cockroft's kick, that we see another asterisk for a kicker in APBA. Tony Franklin, who ushers in the era of the shoeless kicker, on the heels, if you will, of the era of the soccer kicker, nails a 59-yarder against the Dallas Cowboys, and he gets an asterisk. The following year, we see a pair of asterisks for a pair of 57-yard field goals in the 1980 season. Nick Lowry of the Chiefs and Fred Steinfurt. 1981, Joe Danello hits a 55-yarder for the Giants, but he does not get the asterisk. Now, for the 1982 season, we see the emergence of the master game for the first time, and again, a wholesale revision of the results boards. And the APBA asterisk for kickers was no more. The field goal range was refined back to 40 to 49 yards with the master game. And the results were broken down for each play into a column for the first and third quarter and a column for the second and the fourth quarter. So now with the master game and a maximum field goal range of 40 to 49 yards, you can hit a 66-yard field goal. Again, in APBA ball, you measure the field goal distance from the line of scrimmage to the front of the end zone, and for your stat keeping purposes, you simply add the 10 yards for the end zone and 7 yards for the spot of the kick after the fact. So, 49 plus 10 plus 7 is 66. Now, given that the results charts are broken down into two columns, depending on the quarter you're playing, in the original master game, you could only hit the full range in the first and third quarter with a 1 in your K column. Fast forward to the 2006 season, and we see APBA add some results to the kicking game. The play result number is 37 to 42, and that's where that sneaky little 37 comes in, which allows kickers to be good in any quarter of the game from 40 to 49 yards out. Not long after that, the basic game book was revamped, and the master charts were revamped with that 37 to 42 in it, and the master game now allows only a maximum kick of 46 or 45 yards with a 1 in the K column. The good from across the range is only achievable with the 37 in the K column. From 1982 to the present, of course, the kicking game has become extraordinarily efficient. Many kickers get 1s in that K column. A lot of them do. If you look at the list of longest field goals from the NFL-AFL merger in 1970 to the present day, you see several folks kicking 60-yarders, 61-yarders, 63-yarders. And now at the top of that chart will go Justin Tucker. So all told, just as Tom Dempsey did with his 63-yard record kick against the Lions, so too has Justin Tucker maxed out the APBA football field goal charts with his 66-yard record against the Detroit Lions. Will he break his record in the remaining games of the 2021 season? Who knows? So the question is, will APBA bring back the asterisk for the kicker or expand the field goal range yet again in anticipation of someone breaking Justin Tucker's 66-yard field goal record? Well, I don't know. But I do know this. Fear the kicker.